Welcome to the Explainer. Okay, I want you to start by picturing something for me. Close your eyes for just a second and imagine that little neglected green plant sitting by your kitchen window. Or, maybe it's tucked away in a tiny pot that literally nobody remembers to water properly. You know the exact one I'm talking about. You've probably lived with it in your kitchen for years, but I guarantee you, absolutely guarantee, that never, not even once, has anyone told you what it truly is. Today we're going to completely change how you view your own kitchen.
So, what do you actually use basil for? Honestly, when most of us see those beautiful, high-quality photos of gorgeous modern kitchens with fresh basil on the counter, we immediately think of everyday food. You think of a fresh pesto, a rich pasta dish, or a beautiful tomato salad, right? And sure, it's amazing for all of that. But reducing this incredible plant to just a simple garnish, it's kind of like saying the entire ocean is only good for getting your feet wet. I mean, it's technically true, but it completely misses the vast, powerful depths lying just beneath the surface.
So I need you to just forget the pizza and the pesto for the next few minutes. Seriously, put them entirely out of your mind, because what we're going to dive into today goes way, way beyond any recipe book you've got sitting on your shelf. We are talking about a true paradigm shift here. By the end of this explainer, there is no way you'll ever look at that little green plant the same way again.
Section 1, the plant of the gods. Now, to really understand what basil actually does for your body today, we first have to take a look backward. We're talking 4,000 years of history. Almost every single ancient civilization that came into contact with this plant treated it entirely differently than any other flora around them.
Let's just animate this journey in our minds for a second to see exactly what I mean. Back in ancient India, around 2000 BCE, they didn't even call it basil, they called it tulsi. It was the sacred plant of the god Vishnu. They weren't keeping it in the kitchen at all. They placed it right on household altars and actively used it to purify the air around sick people. Move forward to ancient Greece and Rome, and you've got merchants using it as a symbol to attract love, abundance, and prosperity. Over in ancient Egypt, it was so highly revered, they actually used its protective properties during mummification. And jump to the 1900s in Latin America, grandmothers were traditionally using it at the entrances of their homes for quote-unquote energy cleansing after heavy visits. For millennia, this absolutely wasn't food. It was sacred.
Section 2, Science Against Stress. So how exactly do we bridge this massive gap from ancient altars to modern laboratories? Well, let's start with something we all know too well, the modern epidemic of stress. We live in this era of just constant tension, racing minds, and honestly terrible sleep.
Okay, get this. Researchers recently published a study in the highly respected Journal of Ayurveda and Integrative Medicine. And guys, the findings left scientists completely stunned. They discovered that basil extract actually has properties comparable to certain heavy-duty medications prescribed for anxiety and depression. And this isn't just clever natural marketing. This is hard, clinical science. Patients consuming it regularly showed real, measurable reductions in their physical tension. They actually became more sociable, their baseline moods elevated, and their sleep quality drastically improved.
So how is it doing this? Well, the secret lies in two very specific compounds, linalool and geraniol. These compounds actually bypass your digestive system entirely and act right on your central nervous system. When you inhale or consume them, they literally send a chemical message to your brain saying, "Hey, let go, breathe, everything is fine." It's almost like a warm hug entering right through your senses. You know that nighttime basil tea your grandmother used to make? She didn't know the exact molecular chemistry, but she knew the relaxing effect it had. And modern science just proved her absolutely right.
Section 3, Heart, Sugar, and Brain. But here's the wild part. The central nervous system is literally just the beginning. Let's explore basil's incredible, hidden impacts on our cardiovascular, metabolic, and cognitive systems.
Let's break down this specific chemical arsenal. Take eugenol, for instance. It's the exact same active compound found in cloves. Inside your body, it acts as a really potent natural vasodilator. Basically, it helps to lower your blood pressure and actively clears out the bad cholesterol that builds up in your arteries, sort of like a plumber clearing sediment out of old pipes. Now consider its fiber content. In clinical studies with real people suffering from non-insulin-dependent diabetes, regular consumption actually regulated their blood sugar spikes, actively protecting the pancreas. And for anyone out there suffering from debilitating migraines, the menthol and linalool provide this relaxing, slightly anesthetic effect on the nervous system that actually helps space out the attacks and noticeably reduces their intensity.
And we absolutely cannot forget the brain. Basil is just packed to the brim with B vitamins, specifically B1, B2, B3, and B5. Now, these aren't just random nutrients. They are the literal fuel for your neuronal communication. Without them, your memory starts to fail and your concentration just drops off a cliff. Because of these specific vitamins, combined with its powerful anti-inflammatory effects in the brain, researchers are actively studying right now if basil could help slow cognitive decline, even in Alzheimer's patients. How amazing is that?
Section 4. The secret of the grandmothers. This brings us to my favorite part. It's this fascinating intersection where ancient tradition meets modern science, and where traditional medicine finally shakes hands with the modern laboratory.
Remember those Latin American grandmothers and traditional healers, the curanderos, who used basil to clean heavy energy from a room? Well, it turns out they were actually practicing biology without microscopes. When they talked about clearing out bad energy, science now confirms that having a live basil plant or crushing its leaves releases these incredibly potent, volatile essential oils right into the air. And these oils, they literally neutralize and eliminate airborne bacteria, viruses, and fungi. It wasn't magic they were observing. It was pure, unadulterated chemistry happening right in front of their eyes.
Let's look at how this builds into practical, everyday application. Over in Europe and Asia, there's this deeply traditional practice of the basil healing bath. You simply crush fresh basil leaves into warm bath water. The steam then releases those incredible essential oils we were just talking about. As you soak for just 20 minutes, those deeply relaxing compounds enter your body through your skin and your lungs simultaneously. The result is this measurable, profound relaxation that can literally last for hours. Once again, traditional herbal baths entirely validated by modern chemistry.
Before the invention of modern antibiotics, basil was basically the ancestral first aid kit. If someone had an infected skin wound, boom, they applied a basil poultice. For persistent oral sores, a basil mouthwash. For a high fever, a strong basil infusion. And why did it work so perfectly? Well, modern laboratories eventually cracked the code and found incredibly complex compounds inside it, like rosmarinic acid and apigenin. Science essentially just gave complicated, fancy names to the exact same medicine our ancestors already knew by heart.
Section 5. Power that deserves respect. Now, with all this incredible biological capability comes a very important medical warning. A plant with this much raw power must be handled with the proper respect. Because basil is so incredibly biologically active, we have to note that it has a very high vitamin K content. So if you're pregnant, you really should stick strictly to normal culinary amounts. And if you are currently taking blood thinners or anticoagulants, you absolutely must consult your doctor before trying to consume it medicinally. This doesn't mean the plant is dangerous, not at all. It simply means it is extremely powerful.
So, the crucial point we need to walk away with today is this. We have to completely flip our perspective. Basil is not just a kitchen herb that happens to have some nice medicinal side effects. It is a powerful ancient medicinal plant that somewhere along the line someone just decided to put in the kitchen to flavor pasta. It has been doing its job flawlessly for 4,000 years without fancy packaging, without TV commercials, just sitting there, waiting for us to look at it differently.
Which leaves us with a pretty provocative question to end on. As you look around your kitchen right now, what other ancient secrets is your spice rack hiding? Next time, we're going to reveal another super common plant that almost everyone has at home and how you might be casually mixing it with ingredients that completely cancel out its most powerful effects. You definitely won't want to miss it. Thanks so much for tuning into this explainer and keep exploring the hidden science all around you.